10 must-have items to keep in your car so as to be ready for emergencies. That's what we'll talk about here in this video, folks. As always, welcome to A Modern Survivalist, and your comment suggestions are more than welcome. Leave those there below, and you have the links also for my Instagram. If you want to follow me there or send me a message, you have the links also for my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills, which I'll actually use the list so as to go through these 10 items plus a couple bonus items for you to keep in mind. But this is something that applies to also specific regions. For example, not everyone needs an ice scraper, or sunscreen is as essential for some people as for others. For example, right now in Argentina, there's a lot of dengue fever going on, so you want to have a bug repellent because of mosquitoes if you have to walk back home. So some of these things will need to be adjusted for your specific needs, your specific region, and these are the essentials that probably will help no matter where you are. So let's get right to it. We have number one, a flashlight. Number two, pepper spray. These are things I always like to keep handy in my car, right next to the driver's seat, in the glove compartment, or that little space there on the door. These two are essential because if anything goes wrong, it could happen at night, and for that, if it's an accident, something going on the road, whatever it is, a flashlight is something I want to have very handy nearby. Pepper spray, there's a number of incidents in which someone can get a little bit violent. It's not maybe something that requires the use of a firearm, but you want to have something to defend yourself. And the nice thing about pepper spray is if someone starts getting violent from within his own vehicle, well, you can just use that into the other person's vehicle, and that's gonna be really making him reassess his decisions. So pepper spray, flashlight, those two are really handy and important to keep around. I also keep something very close by, a little box with charger cables for the phones, even the wall thing, just in case you end up in a restaurant or going somewhere and you need to charge your phone or one of your gadgets, as well as some emergency cash. That is always very nice to have, and again, having these things convenient nearby, all right? Another thing that I want to have always is that security bar. This is the kind of thing that goes in the steering wheel of your car and it blocks it, mostly for thieves and that sort of thing. And having used one similar to that in Argentina for many years, man, it does work. Yes, there's ways in which it can be broken and lock-picked and a number of things. But in my experience, and no joke, having my car in very dangerous parts of Buenos Aires, criminals, they will usually go for the car that does not have the thing that pisses them off and takes away their time. It has happened for me that people even still broke into the car and maybe try to steal something that was there, but they didn't take the car, and they attribute that to this little safety measure. Besides that, this is a nice tool because it has a nice tip which allows you to break the window of your car, and this is something that may end up saving your life. If there's a fire, you're trapped, you're in water, whatever happens, you can break the glass a lot easier with this big chunk of metal than with one of the little Rescue Me tools, which I have as well. But especially lately, some of the cars have this film so as to keep the integrity of the glass from just collapsing. So sometimes it's not just a matter of breaking the glass, you actually have to mechanically remove this stuff, and you want to have a heavier prime tool. This is ideal for that. And also it's kind of like a battle axe from Star Trek sort of thing, so as a blunt weapon it could also work. And hopefully you have some other better alternatives, but that's not a bad option. Moving on in our list, water, clothes, and food. These are essentials, but you want to have water, a few smaller bottles, a little case of half a liter or liter bottles or whatever, 6 or 12 or whatever pack you have handy. Those things you use all the time, especially in summer. But besides that, I like the idea of having some water in metal bottles because it's not going to be having that same awful taste. So if there's an emergency and a lot of time goes by and this stuff in your emergency kit, it's not going to be having that awful plastic taste. It's still water, but if I can avoid having that nasty, and as time goes by, And often these things stay in the car for years before you check it again. And if it's going to be there for a couple of years, water in metal is a lot better than water in plastic. All of those microplastics. I mean, we cannot avoid that really at this point, but you know, the more I can get rid of that, better. Food, I like having these Energy 5 emergency food rations, last for 20 years. But besides that, also in that handy glove compartment next to the driver's seat, it's a little bit of candy, candy bar or some crackers or something salty or something sweet in case someone needs a bite or something, or something sweet because of not feeling all that well or whatever. All of that kept in a little case next to the driver. In terms of spare clothes, I actually have to update some of these because I have some of my younger kids. It no longer fits them. But a spare set of clothes for each family member in your vehicle for emergencies, that is crucial. And that's one of the most common messages I get from people saying, oh, I followed your advice, or I read it in your book and it saved a day because my kid just got dirty with whatever, there was an accident and we need a change of clothes. We ended up going to the hospital and we had nothing to change into, and because we had that in the car, we had that alternative. So spare set of clothes for everyone. And yes, if it's going to be colder, you will maybe need a bigger backpack for winter clothing. Again, think of it in terms of you're dirty, you need a new set of clothes, maybe even having sneakers in there in case you often end up using like dress shoes or something that's not really convenient. A nice little tip, if you can keep it sealed, vacuum sealed in a bag, one of these food saver things, it is a lot more compact and it's going to be keeping it safe from humidity and water. If there's a lot of rain or your car got flooded, anything like that. Moving on, some of the things that you may have to keep in your vehicle because of local laws, but this may not apply to you depending on where you are. But I want to have first aid kit, a big one with a lot of things, so as to patch a number of wounds and maybe some emergency blankets. So a nice first aid kit, the vest with the visible refractor material thing. This is essential in case there's an accident. One of the most common accidents in the road is there's a vehicle issue, you get out of your car and you get hit by another car on the road. That happens all the damn time. So you want to have the flashlight and you want to have that vest right there handy, right next to you. These are the things that people don't often think about, but by far when you look at the numbers, the statistics, these are the things that end up happening the most. Another thing that I've seen quite a bit of is people with their cars on fire. I've seen it more times than you would think over the years, and people just don't have a fire extinguisher in their car. That is insane. You want to get yourself a fire extinguisher and always keep it in your car, because any wire, whatever happened, I mean, there's a number of things that could cause, even little debris, dry leaves that got there in your engine, or needle pine leaves, anything that you didn't realize, and there's a little spark or a little something and it catches fire. My advice is have vehicles that use diesel, which are a lot safer, but especially with a gas car, you don't want to mess with fire. Jumper cables, and even better than jumper cables, jumper starter like that one. Every 6 months or so, you recharge it and you jump your own car. You don't need anyone else. That's a lot better than relying on someone else. So get one of those, and always go a little bit further. Get something for a truck if you have a normal car. Always go with a little bit more power than you think you need. A tire inflator, one of these things, super handy. You never know when you need to inflate it a little bit more. That's a no-brainer to always keep in your car. The tire repair kits, some of them are smaller kits, some of them are like these gas bottles. They just, something just to patch up a tire in case you need it. Usually if your tires are in good shape, even if you have a puncture, it's just a matter of inflating it a little bit and you just make do until you get that fixed. But if there's something a little bit bigger, you may want to have one of these repair kits. Also gloves and a compass, that little thing with matches, compass, and a whistle. That's a nice thing to have for emergencies. And then gloves in case you need to do a little bit of work there. I keep some tools in that red bag. which keeps the spare clothes for everyone. And if you have to walk back home, it's going to be a bag that allows you to carry some of the stuff you need, such as water, food, or anything else you need to bring along. I like the idea of having a tool, something like, it could be, depending on where you are, you may need an axe because you live in a wooded area, or you want something more versatile like this kukri machete from Cold Steel. It works as a weapon, it works like a machete, as a big knife, as a big piece of metal, so as to pry stuff. I mean, both of these could be used for prying, and neither is really as good as a pry bar. So if you feel that's what you need, get a proper pry bar. But that's simply a solid tool that can do the machete, axe, knife thing in just one. Also, a nice alternative is a good shovel. Shovels are handy, especially if you have snow or mud and you go off-road often for whatever reason. That may be something you want to consider. 3M, I think I have it in the list in my book. 3M is just a wonderful thing to have. It has happened to me that I had an accident. I was just waiting in a red light and just got hit from behind by someone that had not been driving in a long time. Complete out of nowhere, just boom. And the back bumper just broke off, and so I managed to fix it with duct tape. And it's not great, but it allows you to go on without having the piece of car hanging on the side. So whatever it is that is broken, usually 3M at least gets you out of that problem for a while. Toilet paper, and make sure you have toilet paper in a bag, because wet and humid toilet paper, not good. Wet wipes, and these are from my kids, especially when my youngest one, when was still wearing a diaper, which is fortunately no longer the case. But you may want to consider the ones that are the industrial wet wipes or cleaning wipes. Those are bigger, stronger, and those are the ones that mechanics use for cleaning their hands. And given that they're like bigger and so on, you can maybe clean your armpits, your face, or something bigger and better and more rugged than these tiny wet wipes for little kids. But some kind of wet wipe is always super handy for this sort of stuff. So we've gone through first aid kit, wet wipes, fire extinguisher. Really, that's basically it. The one other bonus thing I would add to this more than 10 items is a jerry can with some diesel fuel. If you have a diesel car, you can have some fuel in your vehicle. With a gasoline car, it's more of a thing of it's maybe not so great because it's a little bit more dangerous, but diesel is super safe, and it allows you to go a few extra miles when you end up without fuel for whatever reason. Guys, it's going to be all for now. Remember, you have the links there below. See you on our next video. Take care.